Hello, welcome to Pike Creek Farm and welcome to Canuary, to my second video for Canuary. Yes, I am excited. I'm doing something I've never done before and I'm excited to bring you along on this canning adventure. And Canuary, if you're not aware, is the best collab of the entire year. It's the best way to start off the new year, and it is sponsored and organized by Leisa at SuttonsDaze. And there is a new canning video every day of the month. And the exciting thing is you're gonna wanna make sure you watch every day and put a nice comment because Leisa is being so generous and giving away some prizes. She's given away a pressure canner, a ForJars pressure canner, and also a steam canner. And she also has ForJars as a sponsor, and they're giving away a pressure canner and some other amazing prizes. And I'll have all that details down below. Today, what I'm gonna do is butter chicken. My daughter and I, we never had Indian food really much. Up here in the thumb of Michigan, there aren't any Indian restaurants. We're pretty, isolated and not very diverse, unfortunately, because we like food and we love trying different kinds of food. Well, she has to go to U of M Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan for medical. And so we like to experiment and go to different restaurants. And when she first started going there, we tried an Indian restaurant and we loved it. So this is butter chicken. I found it on Food Preserving, which is a nice, good, safe website. This is safe canning. I'm gonna do it in pints. You can do it in quarts. It makes 4 pints. So I'm gonna start small, and if we like it, I can go big. So this is real simple, and I think it's gonna be great. You can open this up and you can add sour cream, or Natasha thinks we should add cream of coconut to it. Yum. And then you can serve it over rice, over potatoes, over noodles. You can have naan with it. You can make some riata. There's endless possibilities. So I started prepping some of the stuff. And let me bring you along and let's do this for the first time together. I have my recipe to refer to. We need to mince up 4 tablespoons. That'd be a lot. We need 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. And any of these spices, if you're concerned about them being too much, you can reduce them. This is a pressure canning recipe. So I have my pressure canner on my stove with 3 quarts of water in it. That is what my Presto 23 quart canner requires. So I'm gonna get my 4 teaspoons and I will bring you back. Now we need 2 teaspoons of minced ginger root, fresh ginger root. So I peeled it and now I'm mincing it up fine. So let's see, I think we should have, there's 1. I love the smell of fresh ginger. 2. So I got a little bit extra. I'll put this off to the side. So we need to saute onion, garlic, ginger in the oil. So I have to do my onion yet. And we need 2 cups of finely diced onion. So I'm going to use my chopper on the fine. If you do not have one of these, this is an invaluable tool for canning. It looks like I could use a little bit more, so I can probably use half an onion still. And it's very therapeutic. Okay, now we have 2 cups. We're good now. I'm gonna measure the oil. That's important. Don't eyeball oil when it comes to canning. And we'll get the process going. Okay, I put 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Make sure you measure it. Add it in the onions. I have it on medium high. Now I'm going in with the ginger root and garlic, and it says to cook this until it browns, and then to put it on paper towel to drain. So all that, I think it's called bond, that's on the bottom there, will come up when we put the tomatoes. Bring the pot back over, turn the heat on medium. I'm going to put the onions back in. You see how the oil came off on the paper plate, the excess. Now we're going to add 3 cups of crushed tomatoes. And this was a 28-ounce can. Came out exact. The chilies, I'm using Serrano, and I took out some of the seeds in the membrane. Be careful doing that if you add in the chilies. And it says 2 teaspoons. So 1, 2. Turn this down a little. I gotta add in all my spices. Need 2 tablespoons of paprika. 1, 2. 2 tablespoons of curry powder. Let's turn this down a little lower. 1. And curry powder is a blend of spices. Two teaspoons of kosher salt. You can use less. And 1.5 teaspoons of coriander leaves, and I just have ground coriander, so I'm going to add about 1/2 because it will be more intense. So I'm not going to add the full 1.5. So now we want this to come to a boil. I have chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I trimmed the excess fat off and just cut them into bite-sized pieces. You can use chicken breast like the recipe calls for. You could use pork if you wanted. I mean, you could use what you wanted. So let's bring this in. We're not cooking this chicken. It's going to be processed. Now for it to come to a boil. Okay. Seems to be boiling now. And the meat's starting to cook, but it's not cooked all the way. So we are good to start jarring it up. Let me get everything set up. Okay, my jars are hot and they have hot water in them. I have the butter chicken here. I have a bowl with my 4-jar lids in. They recommend putting them in hot water. I have a little bowl with vinegar to wipe the edges. Anything with meat especially, I always use vinegar. I have my debubbler. Very important. This is pretty thick, so we want to make sure it's debubbled. I have my rings. So we're ready to rock and roll. The canner is here. The stove is on, so the water is not cold. We don't want to put warm jars into cold water. We don't want thermal shock. And I almost forgot my funnel. Can't forget the funnel. So we want 1 inch headspace. I'm going to fill them up so I can even them out and add some liquid. Oops, blopped on my towel. I'm just worried that the measurements might not fill 4 jars accurately, and we want to have, oops, we want to have 4 pints filled. So I'm going to take some out, and I did measure the meat and everything. Frustrating when that happens, but it happens. I have some more crushed tomatoes I'm going to add into this pan and heat up and top off these jars. Okay, I got some extra liquid to add. Added some extra curry powder and paprika. Let's debubble. This is thick. Check for headspace. We need the 1 inch. I don't know if you ever looked on your debubbler, but it does have it all marked. 1/2 inch, 3/4, and 1. So just wanted to touch. Okay, now we're going to dip the paper towel in the vinegar, and these are messy. We want all that sauce and spice and any meat grease off of there. Let me get another one. Make sure you check your jars if there's no chips. Okay, now these aren't too hot anymore. Put those on. Finger tight. Stop twisting when they stop turning. Otherwise you can get the lids will buckle. Oh, that's a bummer when that happens. So these will go in the canner. Make sure you have your shelf in the bottom there. Put these in. This will be a nice meal for her during tax season. She buys the rice packets. It's pre-cooked. She can come home late. She works long hours and she will really enjoy this. So now it's time to put the lid on. Follow the directions for your brand of pressure canner. I have a Presto. I always make sure this lock is loose, but I make sure it's on tight. and make sure the vent pipe is clear, that I can see through it, and make sure my seal is good, not cracked, and make sure the emergency plug is good, that it's not cracked or anything. And then with mine, there's like an arrow, and it lines up on the arrow there, and it twist and lock. Here we go, it popped up. And you can't see it, but you can hear it. Set the timer. We set the timer for 10 minutes now. You can see it better from a distance, I discovered. But that's what I mean, like a freight train. The timer went off. So now we're gonna put the weighted gauge on. I love this thing, the jiggler. That noise always startles me. So I'm going to turn my temperature down some, and now we wait for it to start to do a hula dance. Okay, it just started jiggling. I turned my temperature down so it won't go too crazy, and I'm going to set my timer for 75 minutes. Timer just went off, so I am going to turn off the burner, and I am just going to let it go. The jiggler will stop jiggling, that will go down to 0, and that will drop. And we're gonna let it sit for like 5 minutes after that. There, it dropped down to 0. The jiggler's not jiggling, that's dropped down the lock, so I'm gonna remove this. There was no whoosh, so that's perfect. So I'm gonna wait 5 minutes, and then I will unlock the lid and just tilt it so steam can escape. Here we are the next morning. Everything's sealed, and it has a nice, deep, rich color. I just need to take the rings off, wash these, label them, and store them. Thank you so much for stopping by Pike Creek and for watching. And thank you, Lisa, so much for Canuary. I'm so excited because it encouraged me to get this stuff on my shelf that I've been wanting to get on my pantry shelf. And I hope it encourages all of you. And make sure to watch all the videos. I'll have the schedule down below. I will have the link to this recipe. And make sure to watch all the videos, comment, and tune in on January 31st. And thank you, ForJars, for your contribution too. See you next time at Pike Creek Farm.